Hello, welcome back to March's Planning Mess. It has been a few weeks since I've been able to record or post anything. The end of school craziness and then a school-wide yard sale that I was one of the main people in charge of organizing has really made May just be near impossible. So let's talk about where I'm at in my whole planning routine and that sort of thing. So the last time I posted, I have been using the Take a Note A5, which I believe is the mini size planner for my everyday carry, and I had been pretty happy with it. And if you've been watching my channel, you know that for the last several months I've been kind of buying up some unique planners that I had had my eye on, just curious about size and format and what I actually like, how it felt in my hand, etc. And so one of the goals that I had, my big goal was to get back into my N2 sized sterling ink common planner that's compact. And I had made the decision to do that in July. So, because I felt like I probably had about 6 months worth of daily pages in the end, in the back of the book, to get me through that time period. So, during the second quarter, I have been trying out different things. So, during April, I was in a Jibun Techo A6 size, which is the original one, and I was liking a lot about that. I did have to convert some daily pages into vertical weekly pages so that I could do that type of planning, but it was working fairly well. But when I got the Take a Note, I was like, ooh, there's a lot about this that I like. I wasn't sure if it would work for me, but I went ahead and dove in and began using it. So I used it successfully through May, and I really, really loved it. But I had also purchased this Jibun Techo Mini, which is a B6 slim size. So for those of you, it's like the width of the A5, a little bit wider because it's about the width of the cover. The width of the A5 and about the height of an N2. This is a Hobonichi Weeks, which is the N2 size. So it's since I like both of these sizes, I figured I would probably like this size as well. So I ordered it. I was pretty excited about it. And I started in May, doing a little bit of future planning and getting this set up. So I did order. This came with a kind of a cream color cover that had this pocket, and I don't think it had this one in the back, but had some of the similar interior pockets where you can put like credit cards or whatever. And then this has a little pocket back here too. I didn't like the cream color, but I bought this on eBay or some sort of a thing. I bought it used from somebody. It was brand new, but anyway. Bought it as a discount from an individual, so I didn't have any choice of what the color was. So I got this clear cover for it and put some stickers on it. It's kind of the book itself is kind of a black. Yeah, it's black. And it's got, I don't know if you can see, this is a very rough, like a tape, like a packing tape kind of spine to it. It's not designed to be seen. And actually, when I got this clear cover, it had a white paper, maybe it was even like a plastic insert in here. So it looked nice, but it was honestly not quite big enough. So you would see a little bit of black showing through. So I finally just decided, instead of, as much as I liked it, had it fit completely, I decided to just go with the actual cover. So I put some stickers on it just to personalize it a little bit, and started putting some stuff in there. So I do a review of this when I ordered it, if you're interested in all the details of what the Jibun Techo looks like inside and all the pages. It has a lot of pages before you actually get to the planner. So I'm not going to go into that here. If you want to see that review, just look for it in with my other videos. So here's the month of June, and I put in my dates of the things I was going to be doing. I also did July and a few things I had. I think I just did the rest of the year just, because you know how it is. It's not that you're going to necessarily use it that much, but you kind of need to know what's happening that month. And since I haven't taken the time to go through my kids' school schedule and mark those dates in, I have not done too much like August, September. But anyway, I filled that out, and then let's hop over here. This is, I had bought this not realizing it was a B6 Slim for my B6 Paper Test Designs yearly book. Chapter 25, whatever it is. I'm sorry, my mind is blanking, which I currently use as a journal, but it was a little bit too narrow, and it didn't quite work, and I didn't realize at the time, but yeah, it was designed for this book, so it does fit in here quite nicely. So I went in and I, even marked some of the dates for this week, but I just was having a really negative reaction to actually using this. I mean, in theory, it's kind of the same as this one, where you just have like a vertical section for every day and you just make the most of it. I think I'm struggling with where to put my to-dos. They give you a to-do list kind of section here on the side, and I did put some of them there, but it just wasn't working well for me. And I thought there were so many things I thought would work. Like, I like to track my weather every week. There's the weather up there, and track your moods and like your bedtime and your getting up times, and it has space for those things. And I mean, technically I could write my to-dos here because this is like, what, 6 p.m., 1800. So, that would be 8 p.m., 10 p.m. I could start doing my to-do list, because I mean, who's going to schedule something even after 8 p.m. In the evening? I could put it there. I don't know. It just didn't feel right. So I was dreading it. I was dreading coming into June and having to switch over. And I finally I think it was it over the weekend? I'm just like, why am I doing this to myself? I don't have to switch. I don't have to use this thing. It's bugging me. It's annoying. I wouldn't have known it would have been that way until I had it in my hand. And this is the Biz version. So it's very lightly colored blue and orange here. If you get the regular version, it's like blue and orange, just very colorful and bright, and that I didn't personally like. So I'm glad to actually have this in my hands, try it, and just be like, it's probably not for me. With that being said, this is just going to be put aside if I decide I get tired of what I'm using, or if I need something to track something else. It's sitting there. I can pick it up and use it at any point before the end of December. So it may still get used. But for now, it's just not really working for me. So I abandoned my plan. I'm going to stick with my take a note for June as well. I don't know what's going to happen come July. If I'm going to be so attached to the take a note that I won't want to move back into my N2, that's possible. We'll see. So let's go through the take a note, my everyday carry, and this may help you understand why my brain is having such resistance. And I did not know that this was going to work out this way, because I just didn't know how I was going to use this. So if you remember, one of my big hang-ups about this was that how teeny tiny these months are. I mean, these days are in the month. They're 6 wide, and it's like the size of my thumb. They could easily have made these much bigger. If you look at the regular original Jibun Techo, they fill up the whole space. So this is kind of ridiculously small. And I'll be honest with you, I am very likely going to just put this on my scanner, scan it, print it on a sticker, blow it up to the right size, and stick it in there, because I like the coloring of this. I like the font. I like how it looks, but I do not need all this space here. Clearly, whoever designed this needs that kind of space, but in a book this small, it's just ridiculous. Like, this is like smaller than passport size. I scratched my head. But, I mean, amazingly enough, through May, I was surprised at how well it did work, even as teeny tiny as it is. But I'm going to blow it up, put it on stickers. I don't care, because it'll kind of make it easier to get to these pages, because they'll be stiff with stickers on them. And I'll just probably do June and... We'll see. But that was one of my big, really annoyed by this book. Like, why did you have to do it this way? But I really loved these daily sections. So let's just flip through. Here is June. Or let's just do a May flip through, since that is, this is when I started it. So I started on the Thursday, 1st of May. And so let's see if I can get to an empty section here. And I'm going to hold it up close. Can you see that line down the middle? That made it so I could divide this up and have my timed tasks here and my to-do list here, which is a very tiny space. Like the timed task area is 7 wide. No, yeah, they're both 7 wide. And then the to-do list is 7 wide. That's pretty tiny, but I like the ultrafine pens that are like 0.38. This is, let's see. Yeah, I've got one here. This is one that I use routinely, the Pilot G2 0.38. It just writes nice and teeny tiny. I've also been using, and I didn't bring it with me, but the Dr. Grip 4+1. It's a Pilot, and it's got 4 colors of pen plus a pencil in one pen. And I've been using that, and it's not gel. It's just ballpoint. I think that's what most of this writing is the ballpoint, but I could be wrong. There's a mix of them. I know this green is definitely the ballpoint. But that's usually what you put in here to like hold it together. You can put your pen through both loops. But I mean, this has worked. It has worked so much better than I thought it would. You can see how I've like blocked out events or times, and then I've put to-dos on the side. And then I've got all the space to decorate with. So I've got these really cute washi stickers from Amazon, and I've just been enjoying it. So it starts, you got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then you have to turn the page to see Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you have like this area here, which is kind of like a weekly horizontal layout. I find those very unuseful aside from planning meals. And I do that in this book with more space. So that was a no-go. So my first week, even I was like just kind of writing down the main things that were happening each day and kind of tracking my movement. Like, what did I do as far as exercise was concerned? But I didn't like how that looked visually, and I didn't find it useful. So starting this week, I put my weather here along the side, which is something I like to track every day. And then a place to, the heart means like cardio, and then the weights, obviously weight training. So I just marked the days that I did that, and then I put a mood tracker between. And I will go to today so you can see what the mood tracker, I need to catch it up. This is my mood tracker. So these are the things that I track, and it lines up perfectly with the squares here. So I can just move it from day to day, week to week. And then this is your results. I mean, how helpful is this? Well, I know these are usually more positive things, and these are more negative things. So at a glance, you get an idea of how I felt, and I can do a scale of like 1 to 5 of how strongly I felt that particular mood or emotion. So that's what I'm doing with this section, and I have really, really loved this, and have kept up with it fairly well. I do terrible with trackers. I love data collecting, so I don't know why I struggle with trackers so much. Maybe I just need a planner for trackers. No, I don't. I don't need anything else to keep up with. But anyway, I love it. Like, look at this. It's a very busy day. You can see I've got a lot of things blocked out. I put a to-do list or a shopping list here for staples in this section, which is like my nighttime section. These are all the things I wanted to get done that day. Same thing here. Lots of things going on and to-dos. So that's how I've been using this all month, and it just has gone so smoothly. So what this does, this has been always the frustration that I felt, even with back in the day last year when I was using Hobonichi Cousin. Look how big this is on my word. It's like almost shocking. But here's your weekly view. And so you have to be in this part of the book, and then you have to flip to the daily part of the book and go between the two. And I didn't like having them so far apart from each other. It just annoyed me that it was set up like that. And I did do better with my trackers when I had this set up. I will give you that. But yeah, it annoyed me to have to go to 3 different, well, even 4, because in the very, very, very front, you've got these yearly ones. And so I was, aside from that, yeah, here I was like tracking symptoms. This was a symptom tracker for my health. So it just frustrated me to have to go to so many different parts of the book, which is why instead of getting a cousin for 2025, I decided to get the paper tests, which has everything all together. And ultimately that layout just didn't quite work out for me, and I'm using it as a journal, and I will use the book as that. But anyway, I've struggled with this whole, my to-do list is in one section of the book, which is part of the N2's problem. My vertical, daily schedule is in a different part, and then my month is in a different part. So with this book, at least, I've got two parts. I've got monthly. Well, I'm not using any of the trackers on the front, but anyway, that's not a big deal. I've got monthly, and then I've got weekly. And yes, it's on more than one page, so I thought that would bother me more than it does, but it really doesn't. I just kind of flip over to see what's going on as far as my plans are, and I can have my to-dos and my vertical planner in the same spot. I think the only other way that this would work would be in a very tall, thin book, having your vertical stuff at the top and your to-do list underneath it. I think that's the only other way it would work. So maybe an N2 or an N1, or I don't know. But see, I thought it would work in the B6 Slim because that's how I would have had to do this one. And it could be, this is laid out very differently than this. This visually is way more irksome than I would have ever thought it would be. But I don't need these little bubbles. I don't need that. And so I wish I had brought my N2 up here to compare. But anyway, this has just really worked well. So if the N2 starts bothering me when I get back into it in July, and I'm just like, I'm tired of having my weekly page here and then flipping to my to-do list and back to my weekly page and back to my to-do list, hey, this puppy will keep me all the way till December. So if I have to abandon the N2, which would just break my heart because I love it so much. Anyway, I'll do it because this really, it does a lot. I thought I would need all the blank pages in the back, and because I don't, look how slim this is. This is an entire year. And it's very slim. It's comparable to the Hobonichi Weeks. So it really makes this very easy to carry around. I've got everything I need in here. To-do list, daily, monthly, and daily spreads. And weekly spreads, they're all here. My weekly and I don't need a separate daily page, dedicated area. I just don't need that in this book because I have a column for that sort of thing. And so that's how I use my daily pages, is to do to-do lists. I don't journal there because I'm doing a journal. So anyway, this is how this is going. This is this week here. So I need to go through and check off things. I haven't done my weather and all that stuff. And it's Monday, so I can still cover that. But that, I'm excited. I'm thankful. I feel this sense of relief being in this for at least one more month. And like I said, I'll check in again and let you know how I feel. If I start getting anxiety in July about going back to that N2, well, it can sit there. Won't hurt anybody for it to sit there. This has just really worked so well. One thing that is a shame about the Take a Note. So their A5, which is of course twice the size, it would be this size of a book, has the exact same layout. But their B6, which is a size that I like, it would be, like this, only just slightly wider, does not have the same layout. Why do they have their A5 and their A6 have the same layout and the B6 not? I don't know. but this is really a gem. I'm quite pleased with it. And all my decorating, I have not felt like it has made it super chunky. It's only a month's worth in there, but I don't feel like it's made much of a difference. So anyway, the stickers I got from Amazon, I pulled them out of their book just so that they'd be slim enough to put in here, but they're washi stickers, so they're very thin, and I can just pull off stuff and stick it in and decorate it and fill up some of that empty space. So I'm very happy with this. Now, I will continue with whatever system I have going on here. My journaling being in a different book and my memory keeping being in a different book. I'm going to continue with that system through the end of the year, but I am it is a lot of work and it's a lot of books to keep up with, where when you're in the same book all the time and you're flipping through different sections, it helps to be like, oh, don't let this section get not be up to date. So that is one thing that having multiple books is a negative on. So coming into 2026, I have a whole, it's not a spreadsheet, but it's like a chart that I've created with the pictures of all the different types of books I'm considering and pondering, and the pros and cons and their sizes and colors and whatever. All those things. I am really doing a lot of weighing and researching, which is normally I'm going to make a gut decision about something. And this year, having made several choices that didn't quite work out like I wanted, I'm trying to use this as a year, as a learning year, and trying a lot of things here. And hopefully next year I can settle into something and really make it work well for me. So that's my everyday carry. Very happy with it. We'll continue using it that way, possibly forever. We'll see. All right, I've done a few changes in some of these other books, so that's why I'm going to show you these. This one, I don't know if it's quite up to date, but it's mostly up to date. So this is my fitness and meal tracker, and I've been doing a lot since January. I've been doing a lot more fitness at the gym, so that section of it I have fleshed out a lot more than I did when I started this in November. So we'll just do kind of a quick flip through. I need to update my steps from the rest of May, but that's only like a week's worth, so I'm pretty up to date on that. This is just this monthly section. I just mark any kind of exercise I've done, and I started off putting weights there, but I ended up moving weights somewhere else. This is December. Still putting, this is January. And then here's where I'm starting to put in some other exercises. I guess February was a little bit more where I got into going to the gym. I got my gym membership down here end of February. So that's where I really started getting consistent. So I'm marking how many miles I'm walking. This is only if I take a specific walk. This is not steps. I can get, if I get my 10,000 steps, that's about 5 miles, depending on, I guess steps are big. Some steps are bigger than others. But, if I say I'm going to take a walk today and I go out and take a walk, that's when I mark it in here. And then I keep track of that. So this is how many miles I purposely walked, dedicated walk. And then here's like some information on what type of strength training I was doing. And so, and I've marked things like having the stomach bug. Obviously I was doing nothing because I was dead sick, and I want to just mark that. So I'm like, why were you so lazy that week? Okay. So March and then April, again, all my miles here, all of my exercises, how many days I went to the gym. I also had a small surgery with removing a melanoma from my arm. So that really hindered my exercise routine. I was not allowed to lift any weight for 4 weeks. So that I basically did legs every time I went. So I stopped going 3 times, because who wants to do legs 3 times in a week? That's ridiculous. So that kind of affected April. There's May. Finally, that was my last day of having to do only legs. I got back to doing more variety of exercises. So this last week, this is my yard sale week. Look at all this. I did not take any specific walks. I'm basing my mileage just on my daily step count. Well, this was a specific walk. These were just working at that yard sale. I got so much exercise carrying things across the gym and setting it up and back and forth so much that I'm giving myself credit for that. So I got 13 miles. That's the most mileage I've gotten any week. So that's that. So this has stayed the same now that I've got this routine of exercise. I'm not having to do anything. I'm not changing my layout or how I'm handling that in any way. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay. So this is how I started off doing my meals. That has changed a little bit. Okay. So I changed from having all of that data over here and trying to shrunk it down to all being on this side so I could do some charts. I love this, but keeping track of all of this, I keep track of it in MyFitnessPal, and then I'm transferring it here, and I finally realized you are not tracking individual meal macros. Why are you taking the time to write that out? That's insane. So I did modify my layout a little bit like this. So, and this, you'll see more of it when I get into my financial planner. I saw somebody do a video and I was like, ooh, I'm doing that next year. I'm doing that next year. And then I finally thought, no, I can just go ahead and do it this year. So I've broken it up like this, and I'm not writing out as much details about the food. If I want to know, I'll just open my Fitness Pal. That's where it's in there in detail. Why do I need to put that there? All I need to put here is my daily macros and the average, and then I can plot it. And that's what I'm doing. So those things have gotten done there, and I'm pretty close to being up to date. That's last week, so here's this week. So I just have a couple days to catch up, and it's only Monday. So that's working well. I love charting things. It's really helping me see, like, am I really doing what I think I'm doing when I'm eating? So that's helpful. Then I have a section. So the rest of this is just blank as I get closer, go through the year. Then I have a section where I'm plotting my weight, and I'm plotting my macros. This is a weekly average. The other was daily average. Oh, this is measurements. Sorry. And here's macros. So I'm using those different colored pens to track different colored things, because as you can see, sometimes they cross each other's boundaries. So it helps to kind of see if they're within the boundaries of where they need to be. Okay. This section, I am just taking my daily steps. I can do that on my watch and see how many daily steps, and it will give me a mileage. So I plot that mileage, and I'm keeping track of where I would be if I was doing all of my walking on the Appalachian Trail. So as of the 27th of May, I would be at the Rock Creek Recreation Area, 350.93 miles down the trail from the trailhead in Georgia. So that's been kind of fun. My husband's into the AT. I am not a backpacker, but he is. And so it's been fun for him to be like, where are you at? And I'll tell him. And he knows. So far, I'm in all the area he's hiked really well. So he knows exactly where I'm at. Eventually, I will go beyond where he's been. And then that will be interesting for him to not be as familiar. Okay, this section, I just kind of glued in some core workouts that I was working on. And then my friend and I were doing exercise at the gym, and so we kind of came up with, okay, this is the exercise we want to do on the 3 different days that we go. A day we do chest and triceps, one day we do back and biceps, and one day we do lower body. This is just kind of a list of the warm-up would be like our abs, and then down here would be where it's focused more on those specific areas that we're doing that day. So then I came up with this for the week, and I was kind of marking down like what are my weights on each of these exercise machines, or free weights or whatever that, or how many reps or how many seconds or whatever I'm tracking. I was doing that here, and this has worked fine. And I've done this several weeks. But it was getting, number one, I was probably going to run out of room, but number two, I was doing a lot of flipping back and forth to see what was it that I did this week and what number is this exercise. And it was getting a little bit frustrating. So this is last week. And so for this week, I actually just broke this up, and I think I'm going to be able to get the whole year in just a couple pages. So I've just got this thing. So I went today and I marked down, my weights for all of these machines that I did today. When I go Wednesday, I'll mark these. Thursday or Friday will be these. And then this will be week 22. So I figured it all out, and I did a little Dutch door because I started on this type of a page. I will rewrite all of these here, and then I can just flip this over and see everything all the way to the end of the year. I think this should get me through the end of the year. If not, I'll just do one more little Dutch door. And then I'll be able to have all of that stuff to kind of flip back and forth and track. So I'm excited about that project. Okay, so that leaves me more blank pages that I don't have a plan for right away, because they were going to be divided up as they were before. I was doing a little bit of blood pressure log, but my blood pressure has stabilized, so I'm not tracking it as closely anymore. I'm not really using these sections back here as much. Some people love this about Hobonichi. Some people get annoyed. At first I loved it, and now I'm kind of annoyed by it. Like, I don't need these pages. I'm not going to track something like that. And that was my big frustration with Jibun Techo. They have even more pages at the beginning. You're like, I don't need this. I don't need this. I don't need this. So it's a waste to me of the space and the weight in the planner to have so many extra pages. But anyway, there are lots of people that love it, and that is cool too. Here's some more workouts I glued in. And these little books, you can buy them in a pack of 3, and they're designed to fit into the back of a Hobonichi weeks. And so they're very thin. They're a little bit smaller, as you can see. That's the middle. You can see it's a little narrower than your book. So it can come out here and it doesn't hurt your spine at all. But I did suffer an injury this last week where I had a small abdominal tear. And so my husband was concerned. He's a physician, and he was concerned that I was going to make it worse with my exercise. And so he sent me a link to some, this is like if you have diastasis recti issues. And so it's a more gentle approach to your core. And so for my healing, he felt like that would be good. So I just went ahead and printed them out so that they would fit in here, cut them out, pasted them in. So I've got those. So when I do my core exercises in the morning at the gym, before I go into my more body specific ones, I just go through these. It's got directions on how to do it and also an image. So after a while, I know what I'm doing. I don't have to read all of that. I can just go by the picture. And then I'm also trying to work on my posture. And so I've been printing out some posture things and putting them in here as well. And I have a whole bunch of ones I need to go through and print and stick into something. So this, I'm glad that this little book is detached. I could definitely have put it inside of here because at this point in time I have plenty of room. But the fact that this is detached, next year when I move into a new book, which will probably be, this size, maybe slightly larger, but this is a good size. I can just put this in the back of it and I don't have to redo all of that. So that's, having this be detached and be so slim works quite well. I really like this layout. It works really well for me. I am annoyed about the quotes at the bottom just because if this is such a small planner, don't waste space with a quote. I don't need a quote. It's not helpful to me. So I probably will switch to a Sterling ink common planner. For this, I'll use this exact same layout in there because it works well for me, but it'll give me just a tad more space for every day. The only downside to that, which I wasn't realizing until just recently, is I do love the hard cover that the Weeks has. And that is the Sterling ink covers. I don't have one near me, but it's more flexible like this. And having this be stiff going in and out of the gym, because this kind of lives in my gym bag now, is a bit of a challenge. So I don't know. Don't have to make that decision for 6 months. Okay, lastly, let's talk about my financial planner. So I started I ordered this the same day I ordered my Hobonichi cousin that I thought was going to be my everyday carry, and I changed my mind because it was too big for 2025, and I decided to make it a memory keeper. And I kind of abandoned the size, and I had taken this notebook and I had filled it out for the whole year. Like, this is where I'm going to write down all of my my transactions. I was using it like a check register, but for every week, and I have weekly financial goals that I'm trying to be aware of, at least, if not be on top of. I go through and I keep up with this, maybe sometimes a week behind, but it's a space to do that. And so I had moved all of this into my paper test B6, which again, I thought I was going to carry that one around everywhere, so it would have been perfect. Where this I thought could fit in the back of my cousin in the cover. But anyway, the paper test was in a different room. I was using it as a journal. I wasn't getting into it as much for the financial stuff, and I finally just said I can't keep going like this. So I actually went through and I back entered all of the data from paper tests into this little thin book, which I can just carry around with me everywhere, and did all of my stuff. So remember I said I had decided to change the way I did my meals in my meal planner. So it was because I'd watched somebody do a video on how they were using their Hobonichi weeks to track their finances. And they were taking the days. Let's see, where's an unused week? I don't know if you can see those little dots. There's 2 dots there that divide this into three sections. Okay. And so they had just divided this in 3, and then they just continued it across the page. And I think they had a column here maybe for totals. I can't remember exactly what their design was, but they would put each transaction, and it gives you room for like 5 or maybe 6, depending on how narrow you make these. But anyway, I was like, oh, I really like that. Because sometimes this can be a little bit hard to read, even though it is a traditional way of how we do a checkbook log, as far as adding vertically. And the other thing that was annoying me was like, I was putting in, the amounts of the debits or the credits, and then showing how that affected my total each one. And this one, I'm just doing that for each day. So I changed how that was going. So this day I only had one purchase. So the one purchase goes there. This is how it affects the total, and this is the amount of the purchases for the day. This one, I put these in, and then all of these totaled up to here, and then how it affects the bottom line. So that's kind of how I'm going. So this shows me that my daily balance at the end of the day, and then I can add up, this is how much I spent during the week, and that is reflected in my financial goals. So I have really liked, this looks so much more peaceful to my eyes than this. So I have done this for several weeks now. This is last week. I need to finish that out, and I need to set up, a couple more weeks ahead. I don't have to do too much. I have to change this line, and then I can keep moving, doing a couple more columns this width, and then it works quite well. So yeah, that's a new way of keeping track of data. Now I'm only doing it for this particular checking account because this one is my everyday spending. Like if I'm getting gas, groceries, eating out, any of the daily purchases that I make, I transfer money into this account for that purpose. And so it's just a way to keep track of what I'm doing every week, because I have a certain amount I transfer in there every month. And so between 3 or 4 weeks in the month, I need to divide that number out so I know what my budget is. And if I'm going over or under it, if I have an expensive week, then the next ones need to be cheaper, that type of deal. But in my other checking account, the one that pays all of the bills, I'm still keeping that one with the normal check register thing, because I don't really use it. These are the bills that I know are going to happen, and I'm basically just putting them in as they happen. Every once in a while, I will do something else. And I just recently had some fraud on my account. You can see these ones that are circled. It took me a month or two to recognize it, and I had to go back and file a claim at the bank and mess around with that. But anyway, it should just mostly be these bills coming out here. So the money from here comes out in a big lump and goes to the other account where I do my in-between stuff. But writing it out here like this is a way for me to notice these kinds of things that I need to go and check up on at the bank. So there's been so much fraud that's happened on my cards, and when I talk to the bank about it, they're like, they don't have your card, but they're just trying a bunch of numbers randomly, and eventually it matches up to your card, and they'll do stuff until you put a stop to it, and then they'll try a bunch of other stuff. So it happens everywhere. There's no way you can for sure protect yourself, or at least that's the story they're telling me. So I feel like this happens to me a lot, and so it's really helpful to track this stuff. So for this account, I just basically have 1 page per month instead of 1 page per week. So I don't need as many pages to cover this. And then in the middle here, I've got, so this is like credit card tracking, like for, these are the expected automatic bills that happen in July from the main account. And then these are the ones that I need to get them, go to the company and say, please put it on this other account, because we weren't thinking when we set it up. So these are the ones automatically I know are going to come out of that account. But anywho, I take these, they're on like either a post-it note or just taped, and I check them off every month. If the number is different, I'll rewrite it, because some things fluctuate. Some bills are going to be exactly amount. Some are slightly different, like your heating and your air conditioning, that kind of stuff. So I just kind of mark it off as the month is going. Let's see. Like you can see that one's one that's finished. Where is it? Here. So here's the sticky note one, and I've marked off what's happened that I'm expecting to come through. And then for here, this one I've marked off how far, we are in the month, what's come through. So that's how those work. And so as I pay off credit cards, I just kind of track. We generally try and keep ours paid off completely every month. And so, when something comes in, it's just a way to track it. Or if I didn't and I can only pay minimums or a smaller amount, I'm just kind of following that from month to month. What am I actually doing? And it's just like a dashboard kind of view for that sort of thing. So I'm really happy with how this is working out. I do like this size. Now I could go smaller. Like I'm thinking about next year getting a N1 horizontal to track this because, and it would be a compact because I don't need it to be super fat. This is 2 pages for a week. So it would give me, it's not, the N1 is about that wide. So it would be a spread about this wide. So it would give me just a little bit more room than this to track stuff. And as you can see, like I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 transactions on Monday. Monday is a big shopping day for me. And so, you know, I'll go to a lot of stores and then I might not go to many the rest of the week. So I think, and I like having it be a daily vertical or horizontal tracking of what I'm spending. So I think at this point, either I will get a blank book like this and draw this out, or I will get, you know, this layout in an N1 from Sterling Ink and just divide it up like that and do it that way. That I haven't made a decision on yet. It probably will just depend on how thick that that common planner is going to be, because I do like, this is very slim. It is exactly 93 pages. So this came from Wonderland 222. And so, you know, I could get another one of these, honestly. But I think if you wanted a 2-page spread, you would need it to be like 200 pages rather than 93. So that is something to consider. Part of me has been like, you know, just go full on traveler's notebook for every single thing that you do. And then you can put them in and out of a traveler's notebook cover. And here's my chunky one with everything. Or no, I just want to take one thing with me in my purse, pull it out from there and take the one thing with me in my purse. I've got so many options. I'm not sure what's going to work for me. The mini books or the one book, or do we put the mini in one cover and they're all together? I don't know. That's why it's Marta's planning mess, because you never know. And I do struggle and change what my needs are. That's just who I am. And I've come to terms with that and I'm good with it. So anyway, hope this is interesting and helpful to you. Maybe it's given you some ideas of layouts that you could do that you hadn't thought of before, or given you a glimpse into things like the Jibun Techo or the Take a Note that are not nearly as popular as Hobonichi notebooks. Hobonichis, you can find a bazillion layout ideas on Pinterest. You can find YouTube videos coming at your ears on how to do a cousin or how to do a weeks, or even just the regular Techo, which is the A6 size. And you can see a lot of stuff for Sterling Ink, but you just don't see as much on these two guys. And I really wanted, I'm glad I got them. It's not money wasted because it's research money. It's helping me figure out what I want to do for next year. And I also have several friends that are like, man, I really want to use a planner, but I'm not sure what size, what layout, and what type. And when it gets time for them to order for next year, because I had one friend, she wanted one this size, and I don't know if I messed up and sent her a cousin instead of a Hobonichi Techo original, or if she got on there and was looking at other things and then accidentally ordered the cousin, but she ordered a cousin instead of a small one like this, and it's just so big, and she's like, I'm going to use it. I don't want to waste it. But I feel bad that she ended up with something that doesn't meet her needs as well as she would like. So I'm going to be able to show her all these different sizes and shapes. She can flip through them, see how I've used layouts, get ideas for her own layouts, and then she can really feel like, okay, I'm comfortable ordering for next year and I won't get something that's going to be wrong. So it's not just research for me, it's for other people, friends in person and my friends online that take the time to watch these videos. So I hope this was enjoyable and that you learned something, and enjoy your planning and have a wonderful day.